What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. The brother who told you not to be out here undisciplined, just making babies out of wedlock, but you did it anyway, and now your adult children are coming back to ruin your legacy. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So very recently, it's gone all over the internet that one of the children of Dr. Umar Johnson, his oldest daughter, has come out and made lots of very disparaging comments about her father, basically saying that he is a deadbeat. He has never been in her life, and all the times that he has tried, or that she has tried to contact him so that she can be in touch with her other family members and her other siblings, Umar has ignored her and has not been very forthcoming with any type of information. Now, being the goofball that he is, Umar has decided not to have a private conversation with his daughter. He's decided to, stay online and argue back and forth with her in the style of the typical social media goofy that we see now in today's media and in today's black community. And it's stirred up a lot of emotions on the internet, which is, logical, because anytime you have a public figure like Umar Johnson, someone who is a polarizing individual, you're going to have his fans and his detractors come out and, do their own commentaries or whatever about this type of situation, right? And I've been observing all of it, and I have decided that I want to do a commentary myself. And I'm going to try to be as sensible as I can, and I'm going to actually try to be as fair as I can to what would be kind of both sides of this argument. And what I mean by that, and let me define what I mean by both sides, because there's, anytime you have a situation like this where you have a man who has had children with a woman that he's not married to, and the relationship did not work out, and the man has decided, because this is a decision, that he's not going to deal with the mother or the child, you'll have two camps kind of forming there, where you have men who maybe have been in that situation, or who just want to side with the male side and say, like, whatever, I support the man in this decision. I can understand these women are crazy or whatever. You got to separate yourself from both of them, right? Then you have the other side of the argument where people are looking at the man crazy for basically abandoning his child, and that's how they'll categorize it. So I'm going to do my best to try to be understanding of both sides of this argument and give my 2 cents and my opinions on this particular situation. Let me preface this whole thing by saying this about myself. All right, so people don't get anything twisted about me personally and what my stakes are in this commentary. I only have children with my wife. I don't have any outside children. I never have. My wife does not have any outside children. We've only had children with each other. Okay? And as far as being a father goes, I have been there for my daughter since before day one. Okay? When my wife was pregnant, we found out she was pregnant. I was the one that took her to her doctor's appointments. I was there for all the ultrasounds. I drove her back and forth to work during that time and also worked myself. When my daughter was taken out through cesarean section, I was the first one my daughter saw when she first opened her eyes. I was the first one to hold her, okay, while they were fixing my wife back up. So as far as being there for your child, as my personal standards on what it means to be a man, I cannot imagine not being there for my child, or in any situation where I would abandon or ignore my child because I'm going through some sort of drama with her mother. Okay, but once again, it's different for me because my wife and I, while yes, our relationship isn't 100% perfect, we do argue about things, but we've never had any baby mama, baby daddy drama either. Okay, because we've always been together and stuck with each other through thick and thin. But as far as being a father to my child, I cannot imagine being away from my child for any length of time. If I'm away on business or my child has her activities or whatever that she goes to sometimes during the summer, I get all twisted and sad that she's away from me for a day or two. And, I got to get back to her and we got to be together again. Okay. So that this whole idea of not seeing your child for 10, 20, 15 years or whatever is just, it's alien to me. However, let me be fair and say this. As a man, I do understand the frustration that males go through when dealing with this very twisted system, especially black males. I understand the frustration that you go through where you might have had a relationship with a woman and it not work out. And instead of dealing with each other as adults, you have a lot of emotions involved and you have a very corrupt system involved in that relationship. And that system is made to pull you apart. That system is made to interfere in your relationship and to interfere with you as a man in having any type of family or any type of family structure. I understand that. I understand that this system is built on separating black men and black women, and it is especially harsh on the man. And for some men, it gets so tiresome, it gets so frustrating that a lot of men will just shut down and just decide to just leave it all alone. And to use the classic quote, they literally throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay. And I understand that part of it because, while I've never dealt with child support or, spousal custody battles or whatever, I do understand the frustration of dealing with this twisted system. It does make you want to bow out. It does make you or try to force you to want to not have to deal with any of it. Okay. So I understand that part of it. All right. But once again, at the end of the day, that is your child, that is your flesh and blood. And there is something to be said about that. Now, when it comes to Umar and his daughter, here's the thing, the problem I have, because Umar it's the way that he portrays himself, and it's a lot of the rhetoric that he uses. This is where the problem comes in, because you cannot claim to be King Kong consciousness or, the greatest Pan-Africanist ever. You talk about black families and how much you love the black women and black queens. You can't talk about all that stuff and want to be a leader of black people, and you never had any type of relationship, nor have you ever taken care of your children. It doesn't work that way. You can't play games like that. Okay, that is the height of hypocrisy. Also, Umar, you can't talk about, because his whole thing is to the issues that he has with his children's baby mamas is the fact that, it was okay for him to have children with them. It was okay for him to have sex with them, but he did not want to marry them. He felt like it would not be a good idea to marry them. Now, I have a problem with that, Negro, because you're the one that runs around out here talking about, I need 2 queens to marry. I need 2 women to be my wife or whatever. I need to find a queen, a Pan-Africanist queen to marry me and be my, help me run the FDMG school and all this other stuff. Well, Negro, you have found your 2 queens already. At least, based on the kids that we know that he has his 2 queens, right? You've impregnated 2 black women and you should have married them, right? You can't talk about, like, a lot of this nonsense I hear him talk about, like, black men being fathers to their children and stuff. He doesn't even practice that. You see what I'm saying? You can't preach that and you don't practice it. And see, this is the problem I've always had with Umar, because I remember, like, when I first started out doing YouTube videos, like giving my own commentaries and giving my own opinions on manhood and stuff like that, I would run into all this criticism from these knuckleheads, like a lot of these guys, either in the manosphere or, taking on the red pill movement and whatnot. And they would make these weird assertions about me, saying, like, how are you going to be pro-black and you don't even have a black woman? I was like, what are you talking about? My wife is well known that I'm married to a black woman. I have black children. I've been with my wife for a long time, right? I have a black family, so I can talk about stuff like that. And I realized the reason they were saying this stuff is because you have people like Umar giving this false representation of what it means to be a pro-black male. You have someone who's out there who claims to be representing being pro-black, who claims that you should marry a black woman, but he's not married to a black woman. He doesn't take care of his black children. And what's interesting is, when it comes to all the stuff that he thinks that tells other black men to do, right? He doesn't practice that. He's not forceful when it comes to getting custody of his children. He's not forceful when it comes to marrying the women he got pregnant, right? He disrespects them. That's the funny part. See, it's all about, we gotta respect the queens until it's his baby mamas. Like even if you hear the way he talks about his daughter's mother over the last few weeks, he's been very disrespectful to, not even to her, just her entire family, right? His baby mother's mother and her father and everything else, calling them the Smurf family, calling them Papa Smurf and Smurfette and all this other ridiculous nonsense, right? He's even been disrespectful to his own daughter, calling her a struggle streamer, right? Like if you want some sort of understanding, Umar, you can't do that to her. All right, because the only person I really feel bad for in this whole situation is his actual daughter, his children. Even the fact that they're adults, I feel bad for them. Okay, because that's a lot of trauma to go through when you have a biological father, especially one that's famous and well known, and he has no relationship with you, but he preaches all this nonsense to the people. You can see his hypocrisy right there in front of you in live time, because you know what he's done for you, which is absolutely nothing, right? So, like I said, like he preaches all this stuff about being respectful and being forceful, but he doesn't do that himself. You would think that if he is, so gung-ho about being pro-black and being a black man that's a leader and having a black family, he would fight for custody of his children, right? He would fight for, being a father in his children's life. And I'm going to tell you guys out there, for some of you guys that might agree with, like, Umar Johnson, like I've seen, like, the comedian Corey Holcomb, who also, in my opinion, I never got a chance to do a video about this, but I also felt he mistreats his own daughter as well. He's been extremely disrespectful to his daughter and his daughter's mother. Because at the end of the day, whatever you might say about your baby mama, you laid down with her. And that's what I meant when I said that intro, when I talked about having discipline. Negro, you were the one that had no discipline in the first place. This is something that, as a man, we also talk about women need to take personal responsibility. As a man, you need to take personal responsibility in that regard. Because you were the one that had no discipline, and you were the one that did not take care of your child. You did not take care of the responsibility and the end result of you being undisciplined. You see that? Because I can tell by Umar's behavior now that he has no discipline when it comes to women. He's one of these guys that just believes in sticking and moving, and he's also an extreme simp. Like, I can tell by the shit that he says, like when he talks his pro-black nonsense, and also the way he talks to women, he'll say whatever to get into a woman's panties. He's one of those Negroes. He's one of those guys that will tell you, yeah, I can believe that young Umar was out there telling this woman that's his baby mama, yeah, I'm going to be there for you. Yeah, I'm going to help you take care of the baby. All this nonsense to get in her pants. And then when the baby showed up, he went somewhere else and went on to move on to the next girl. You see, I can believe that just from his behavior that I've observed all over the internet. I can tell that that's his personality. And I don't agree with that at all. As a man, you shouldn't have to lie to get into some girl's panties in the first place. And as a man, you need to have some discipline. You need to have discipline as to where you put your seed. That is one of the greatest responsibilities that you have. Okay, men need to value themselves more and have more respect for their own bodies and think about where they put their seed at. Okay, that is a very important thing. That's one thing that, whether you're religious or non-religious, you need to be understanding of. It is you need to understand where you plant your seed and how you want it to grow. And if you're going to plant your seed in bad soil and you're not going to tend to it, be prepared for the weeds to grow out of that seed and for it to choke you eventually, for it to destroy your property and for it to destroy your world. And that's what's happening to Umar right now. Okay? Because he planted a seed that he did not tend to, and he allowed it to grow without him, pruning it and teaching it and showing it which way to grow and how to grow, putting his own essence into it. Now it's come back to choke him. His child has no respect for him. His child has no reverence for him as they should. And why should she? If he wasn't there, if he's not there, whatever you can say about her mom, and I don't think that her mother was 100% correct either, but for whatever you could say about her, her mother was there. Okay, people don't seem to understand just how important it is for a child for their parents to be there, for their for the child to have their parents' presence be there. That's extremely important to your child. Okay, and I can attest to this from both sides. From being a child and having my father there, when I think back, my father recently passed away. And when I think back on the time I spent with him, that I cherish all of that even more now. I know how important that time was, right? And as now being a parent myself, I can see how important it is for my daughter for me to be there for her. Okay? Just me sitting down and spending some time with her. Like just the other night, we had movie night together, just me and her, right? Or, just putting together Lego sets and stuff like that. Or building, like we've been, over the last few years or so, been working on, teaching her coding and stuff like that. So just like, learning how to build levels for games and stuff like that. Just whatever. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but I'm just saying, whatever time you spend with your child, it's special and important to them. Okay, it means something to them. Even if you're just taking your child out to lunch or something like that, that means something to them. And that's important for your presence to be there. That's something your child's always going to remember, even if it's just a day for you or a few hours for you. That's a lasting memory and a building block for that child as they get older. That time that you can give your child and that time that you can put into their life, that is extremely important. It's worth more than anything you can actually give them at the end of the day. Okay? So, once again, when I see people like Umar preach a lot of this trash, and even now when I've seen him on social media these days, he's more upset that he's getting shut down by places like Cash App and PayPal than he is about not having a real relationship with his daughter. Okay? He's talking to his daughter like she's like one of these Negroes on the street, or when he was like beefing with like Tariq Nasheed, or when he was beefing with Sarah Sutanseti. That's how he's speaking to his child, like it's an internet beef, rather than trying to have a real conversation with her or trying to reach out to her and figure out where he went wrong. because he was wrong. No matter what issues he would have with his baby mama, it's still wrong for what he did to his daughter. Like I said, she's the only one I feel bad for. Okay. And one of the reasons I feel bad, because I've seen that situation. I've seen it in my own family with either, some of my siblings who have children they don't take care of, or, some of my nieces and nephews who, they have a parent that's just never been there for them. And it's sad to see that, even like, knowing them now, even as adults, seeing where they lack things because they had a parent who wasn't there for them, right? See where they fall apart in certain areas because they had a parent who wasn't there for them. And you can see the difference between the choices they make. And, I'm not sitting here preaching like my life is perfect, but I can see the choices they made between their life and my life. And I can see the problems they had is that they had a parent that wasn't there. Okay? That's where their issues stem from. And it's, like I said, it's sad to see. And I have a relative who's just like Umar, who's impregnating all these women out there. In fact, my relative is worse in a way because he preaches that pro-black stuff too, but he has impregnated at least 3 white women, right? I don't know if Umar has done that at all. I doubt it, but it's still just as ridiculous, right? You have these dudes out here who talk so much mess and, they don't care, and once the lights go out, right, they'll just hop in anybody's bed. But, my relative, he has all types of kids out of wedlock. And I mentioned one of the kids I just met recently, right? She's an adult now too, with her own family. And she's just meeting my family. Like she just met my mom and my sister, right? And, so there was a whole nother child out there that none of us knew about. And, one of her siblings found her and introduced her to our family. And it's been like a really, really fun and interesting reunion. But, you have this family member of mine who just decided, I'm going to make babies and have no contact with them. I'm going to go out there and just make babies and not be a father to them. That's BS. And like I said, I don't approve of that whatsoever. And I told them that. All right. And I still love them, but I tell them, like, you gotta get your shit together. You can't be doing stuff like that because you're leaving a big hole in these other people's lives when you do that. So I don't want to hold you all here, but that's my opinion on the situation between Umar, the Prince of Pan Pizza, and his daughter. Okay, you folks can let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. And truth be told, I'm surprised this hasn't happened sooner, right? The fact that his daughter even waited 22 years to confront him about this type of stuff in a public forum, I'm surprised it didn't happen 6 or 7 years ago, right? So, because a lot of people are getting mad at her for even bringing it up in a public forum. Don't be mad at her, be mad at Umar that she has to do that, right? It doesn't matter. You can't be an absentee father and screw over your children like that and then tell them when and where they can confront you about something like that. You see what I'm saying? You gotta take that. You have to take that. That's your bad. And if nothing else, I would have more respect for Umar if he dealt with the situation being more apologetic. To if he got online and said, I apologize to my daughter and I apologize to my supporters for this, and be more humble about it. But once again, his ego won't let him do that. He decided to be an asshole about it, and now we've seen the end result of it. It's more and more drama and more food for the trashy side of social media, which is a shame. Anyway, once again, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Anyway, mad black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.